Hello everyone, or no one, and welcome to Delo Gaming. I'm a bad gamer, and I played Dragons Dogma 2, and I found this. This game is not for everyone. For some, it's Dragons Dogma 2. For others, Dragons Not So Goodma, and others, it would be Dragons Very Goodma 2. So, I decided to try out Dragons Dogma 2. I have not played the first Dragons Dogma, and I have extremely little knowledge of these games. I just watched the trailer and I thought, hey, this might look like a cool adventure game with epic beasts of legends, like chimeras, griffins, Medusa, and dragons. And I was kinda sort of right there. But there is, however, a couple of points I want to discuss as I played this game, because I'm still not sure if I like this game or not. Because I've had the worst gaming experience ever, to somewhat decent, to an actual pretty good time in this one. So, let's start with number 1. You don't play Dragons Dogma for its story. Well, no you don't. The story is not very good. It's very short, not exactly very deep, and it really doesn't let you get to know the world or the people in this world. In my head, it's in the story you get to explore the world, get to know the people living in this world, and you get to experience the coolest parts and the baddest of bosses during the story. But I didn't really feel that here. It starts off pretty cool with fighting a freaking Medusa, and then the game pretty much dies down a bit, and I guess the next good bits is chasing a statue. And of course the last dragon you fight. I wish the story was more in-depth and explained more what being an Arisen actually means. And its true powers, as you kinda just have instantly dibs on being the ruler of this kingdom. So I would like to prove myself a little bit more. But speaking of the last dragon, apparently there are 2 endings of this game. One, you beat the dragon and rule the kingdom. And a second, where you maybe get some of the best bits of gameplay, at least the story makes sense, where you end up in a broken world that's falling apart and you have to evacuate the major cities to save the people. That's some fun gameplay, but how you get that ending is dumb. I will admit this might be lack of lore knowledge of the Dragons Dogma games, but to get this pretty good and cool ending, you have to stab yourself before you get to fight the last dragon. Meaning you don't fight him. That makes no sense. Also, if you just choose to defeat the dragon, you might get stuck in a loop, because I did. Because once you defeat the dragon, you end up in the throne room, where you can interact with one NPC, and you're thinking like, hey, maybe I should go talk with this guy. And then it just starts the fight all over again. So I fought like the last dragon 7 times in a row, and was like, what is going on? Apparently, you just have to stay in the throne room and do nothing for a while. Then the credits will roll and the game ends. And the only reason I discovered the secret ending of the game was that I was stuck in this loop where I was killing the last boss 6 and 7 times. And I was thinking like, this is not correct. So I had to go on the internet to check, is this the right way to do it? And of course, then I figured out, okay, there's a hidden ending and it's much better, and I ended up stabbing myself. Why this is hidden? It makes absolutely no sense to me, at least. Number 2, there is a good RPG game in here, somewhere with the remembrance to old classic RPGs, where being prepared before you go out on a journey and bringing a lot of campsites with you so you can rest up properly makes the world feel quite dangerous. You get to create your own character with different classes to choose from, and you can unlock more classes as you play the game. You get to create your own sidekick character that's called a pawn in this game, where you choose its class and abilities that fit well with your class and playstyle. You can change this anytime you want, but you have to level up the new class for both yourself and your pawn. You also get to create your adventure party of 4. that contains of you, your pawn, and you get to hire the last 2 travel companions. Here you can hire characters that have abilities that you want in your party, if you want more tanks, or healers, or casters, or DPS. The quests and side quests can give you different outcomes based on the order or choices you do while doing those quests, so some of these things reminds me of old classic RPGs, and I kinda like that. Time is also a feature in the game, as like time actually passes. Your food rots if you don't cook it, you can't take too long on quests so they fail, which I think is kinda cool, but it should be more visual, with either a clock or something to tell you how much time is spent. For example, if a quest is timed, I wish they would say something like, it has to be done within 3 moons or 3 sunrises. Then I could make a better choice if I wanted to do this quest or not. If you choose the optional endgame with the broken world, that is timed. So you have a limited time to explore it and do what you want, and that kinda makes it even more fun. Number 3, combat. I think the combat in this game was quite good once I got used to it. That's the key, getting used to it. Once you learn the weak spots of each enemy and you have fought them enough so you would kind of read what they are doing and what you are supposed to do, and have a party that is well tuned together with your abilities, I kind of liked how the combat worked. It feels really weak if you don't know the weak spots or weaknesses of the enemy, but when you do and hit those spots or use abilities they are weak against, they really hurt them and it feels really good. I played mainly as an archer or magical archer in this game, and I really enjoy that. I guess it's the coward's playstyle, but I really liked it. I tested out melee and spellcasting, and they were fine, but the magic archer I personally really enjoyed, because once it was leveled up, you had most tools to defeat any enemy fairly fast. So once you spent enough time learning about the enemies, the combat was quite nice. Number 4. I can't believe this was released in 2024. I know this game had a lot of issues when it was released, but I wasn't expecting it still to be quite broken in some places a year later. I encountered loads of quests that were just bugged. Either I'm the worst gamer ever and did everything wrong, or some things are broken. It didn't even give me the items I needed for the quests. Not progressing properly. At one point, you were sneaking around the castle in one city and infiltrating a costume party. One guard just bugged. I know the guards tolerate your presence for a little while, but this guy just spawned at the door and insta-killed me. Like, what the fuck? The way you can reload this game is either load at last autosave, that happens quite often, and the other choice is to load back at the last inn you visited. Because of quests being bugged like the one I mentioned, I had to several times reload all the way back to the inn and had to redo maybe 2-3 hours of gameplay again, because it's been a long time since I last was at the inn. And that felt so shit. One example of this one autosave was right before I got charged by a wolf at low health and it killed me. So on the reload I got insta-charged and killed again. And again, after like 5 reloads, I got lucky and dodged, because I was just refusing to load all the way back to the last inn. This really did not feel good. Why not add a feature to load to last campsite or goddamn manual save? The game saves 10 times a minute anyways. Number 5. Please press next to continue the conversation. The entire game is voice acted, which is great, but why on earth do I have to press next to continue the conversation after every sentence? It's nitpicking, but if it's voice acted, just keep talking! This slowed it down so much. Why? Number 6. How to play Dragons Dogma and have a better time. So, how do you do that? Well, the beginning of this game I had a horrible time. But I spent at least 15 hours learning the game and then it got better. Then I finished the game with a decent to alright feeling. As I already talked about, the story is dumb. But after you finish the game, you unlock New Game Plus. And I decided to do that, and play the game in a different way the second time. And that's when I had the best time ever in Dragons Dogma. So here's how you enjoy it. First off, ignore the main story. Make up your own damn story in this game. Make a story in your head and just go with it. Go where you want. Explore caves and places and cities you have not been in or want to visit. The game is the most fun when you have the mentality to go like, hey, let's go over here and explore. Let's hunt some dragons. That's really fun. It's the world that's the best feature in this game, and exploring it in your way is the best way to do it. Do the side quest you want in any order you want. Hunt dragons. Hunting dragons was the most fun for me in this game. As there isn't a huge variety of enemies in the game, you get the same ogres, chimeras, griffins and furry horn dudes all the time, so it gets kinda boring. But the dragons are a completely different fight, and an absolute high point of the game. Just a shame you don't get to fight more, one lesser dragon and the main dragon during the main story questline. I feel like the world is the best character in this game, but there isn't really any reason to explore it, as most good weapons come from vendors. So you can argue you can go and grind for gold, but that's not so fun, is it? Yeah, killing dragons and buying the best items from the dude that sell those weapons you buy for dragon scales is good, but you're kinda already beaten the game at this point. So there's really no point doing that either. It would be more exciting if they did put good or cool stuff out in the world to make it more rewarding to explore the world. So the best bits in this game is kinda pointless, other than to do them for the sake of doing them, which makes me a little bit sad. Well, I've played more than 50 hours of Dragons Dogma 2, and it went from being the worst game ever to a somewhat decent game in the end. And that makes it the time for me to leave you with, as always, the wise words of wisdom from the Steam reviews, and I bid you farewell. Keeping it short, sweet and simple. Combat, exploration and raw RPG elements. Best I've ever played. Felt incredible and I loved every minute of it. Story? Awful. Actually, awful. Just ignore it. Focus on the gameplay and make your own story in your head or something. What a wonderfully imperfect game. It is not a bad game, just too expensive with too little content. Capcom wants to make money before financial year, so they put out an unfinished game. One of the worst optimized games I've ever tried. Runs like ass. Me like magic go brrr brrr. After getting near the end of the game, I can't really recommend it for the price. It's not a bad game by any means, but it's not good either, and considering this is 12 years after the first, I expected a lot more. This game is an oddity. Most open-world RPGs have really good stories, but big empty worlds. This is the opposite. You can climb a dragon and stab it. Enough said. I was so immersed in exploring the world that I almost forgot there was a main story. This is a great game that is very hard to recommend. Weird, bizarre, clunky and somehow entertaining adventure. Story is comparable to old VHS porn movie made in West Germany, and visually it is appealing as it's cast. However, thanks to its great combat and obscure, quirky mechanics, it is actually fun to play sometimes.